It's pleasant with a verse to chasten a dunderheaded clown and foe, pleasant to watch the fellow hasten, with button horns descending low, to view his image in a mirror, and turn from it in shame and horror. More pleasant, friends, if he howls out, "Oh look, that's me there," like a lout. Still pleasanter, with quiet persistence, to plan a grave that lauds his name, and at his pallid brow take aim from proper gentlemanly distance. It's hardly pleasant, though, you'll find, to send him off to meet his kind. What happens if your young companion is slaughtered by your pistol shot for some presumptuous glance, opinion, or repartee worth not a jot, insulting you while you were drinking, or if, in fiery pique not thinking, he calls you proudly to a duel? Tell me the feelings that would rule your soul when without motion lying in front of you upon the earth, upon his brow the hue of death, he slowly stiffens, ossifying, when to your desperate appeal he is insensitive and still. We take a leap from Plato to Alexander Pushkin, technically as late as the 19th century, but time moves slower in Russia. Eugene Onegin is a novel on unfulfilled love, tragic fates, and wasted youths. A great beginning for classic Russian literature. But is it worth reading? I'm Michael, and frankly, I'm not sure I can keep it together for this one. Let's get on with it. Now, unlike my grandmother, I needed an English translation. Mine is by Stanley Mitchell. It opens with an account of Pushkin's life. What a guy, what a country. Infatuated with French fashion, if you can believe it, ruled by a German, beautiful, drunk, crazy as ever. The Russian as a language is just being formed, and young Pushkin, exiled to Odessa for badmouthing the church and the Tsar, starts writing a novel in verse. Like all episodes on fiction, this one contains spoilers for roughly up to half of the story. The main protagonist, Eugene Onegin, will once again take us to a different world, the Tsarist Russia of the 1830s. And like many of its young aristocrats, he is living the life of a lishny человек, a useless nobleman. Consider their position, their liberal dreams crushed, social positions eroded, life and talent wasted away in decadent ways of the gentry, born too early to become war heroes, too late to lead a proper revolution, even though the Decembrists certainly tried and failed, and feeling their talent and youth and energy slip away night by night. Side note, when I was 13, my primary teacher called some of my troublesome classmates listní člověky. Bless both their souls. But Eugene is still a self-destructive romantic, bound by the old and worn-out rules of aristocratic etiquette. He moves to the countryside and makes friends with this local poet, Lenski. Then, on a ball, he decides to flirt with Lenski's wife. And now the tragedy is all set up, the dominos are in place. Lenski must now challenge Onegin to a duel, as his honor, and really his impulsive pride, demands. Onegin must accept the challenge, as his honor, and really his cowardly compliance with the social protocol, prescribes. 10 paces apart, pistols in hand. We all know how this story ends. Now, if you wish to share a grim laugh, look up how Alexander Pushkin died just 4 years after publishing the novel. So, for Eugene, the world only becomes real the moment he murders his friend. The horror and regret of that moment is the first genuine feeling he has in the whole novel. Now, the real heroine of the story is Lenski's upcoming sister-in-law, Tatiana. Her infatuation with Onegin is genuine from the start, and she sits down with a nurse to talk through it in the following excerpt. "I can't sleep here, nurse. It's so airless. Open the window. Sit by me." "Why, Tanya? What is it?" "I'm cheerless. Let's talk of how things used to be." "Tanya, what things?" "Once I was able to keep a store of every fable, old tales that, true or false, I'd tell of maidens and of spirits fell. But now my mind's grown dark and woolly, I can't recall a thing. Alas, it's all come to a sorry pass. I am confused. Nurse, tell me truly, about those years, can you recall whether you were in love at all? Tanya, my dear, we never even knew what love was in my young day, else mother-in-law would have driven me out in no uncertain way. How did you marry then? Oh, Tanya, it seemed to be God's will. My Vanya was even younger than me, and I was just 13, you see. 2 weeks, a matchmaker kept coming to all my kinsfolk. Finally, my father blessed me. Bitterly, I wept for fear of what was looming. While they untwined my braid, they wept, and chanted while to church I crept. Into an unknown family taken? But you're not listening now, I fear. Oh, nurse, nurse, I'm unhappy, aching. I'm sad and sick at heart. My dear, I'm on the verge of crying, sobbing. You are not well. My heart is throbbing. Save us, O Lord, have mercy, pray. What would you like? You've but to say, let's sprinkle you with holy water. You're all aflame. I'm not unwell. I am in love, nurse. Can't you tell? May the good Lord protect his daughter. Her ancient hand raised in the air, she crossed the girl and said a prayer. I am in love, again she whispered to the old woman mournfully. You are unwell, her nurse persisted. I am in love, go, let me be. Meanwhile the moon was radiating, a languid light, illuminating Tatiana's graces, pale with care, her loosened and unruly hair, her tears, and there before her sitting upon a bench the ancient dame, with kerchiefed head her feeble frame into a body warmer fitting, and all beneath the tranquil night dozed in the moon's inspiring light.
Isn't she a fool? Doesn't she suffer the just consequences of her own naivety, brought to ruin by her willingness to project her dreams onto a stranger? Pushkin anticipates we might feel this way and defends her quite fervently. Besides, I ask you, dear reader, haven't we all been fools? Earnest teenage love, wasted on a waste man. I know this happens in real life too, but it somehow feels more tragic in verse. Also, what is this female fascination with assholes? Tatiana falls for Onegin because he seems so much more aloof and cosmopolitan. Oh, how larger, how much more sophisticated than her modest village upbringing. Doesn't she see the weakness and rot in his soul? God, I hate that guy. Maybe because I've been that guy, and only Ayn Rand could snap me out of it, thank heavens for the Russian Jews, but more on her in later episodes. So Eugene wastes his life through acting like an aimless lout. Tatiana burns hers by falling for the aimless lout. And Lenski gets shot because he allows himself to be provoked by the aimless lout. And just like in Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, the interesting stuff is set in motion after this crisis. But go read that yourselves. And so the scene is set. We have 3 tragedies painted in brilliant light verse. And this might be a small-minded Czech question to ask, but who is to blame for their ruin? Was it their fault? Or was it society? They did get dealt a bad hand, used to the old rules, living in the new world. But I have to believe it was their fault, because I have to believe it will be our fault if we also become another lost generation. I don't see another way out for us than to gather all of our arrogance and to hold on to the magic words, my fault. My fault means in my power. And if it isn't, then there is no hope, and I refuse to entertain that. If you slow down, you must marvel at Pushkin's command of symbols and layered meanings. He will sometimes remind you of the distance between the narrator and the story, and then he'll relate his own feelings to the characters. He'll go on to describe their circumstances through a discussion on the state of the arts and literature, the shift from poetry to prose, the moral Russian heroine against corrupting British influences adoring criminals and layabouts. And there's this straightforward sense of life shining through the novel. Consider the dream Tatiana has after falling for Onegin. Bear in pursuit. Tatiana dashes into the wood up to her knee in powdery snow. A long branch catches her by the neck, then forcefully wrenches away her golden earrings. Tatiana, wholly without bearings, leaves in the snow a small wet boot pulled from her charming little foot. She drops her handkerchief, foregoing to pick it up. The bear is nigh. Her hand is trembling, yet she's shy to raise the dress around her flowing. She runs, and he pursues her still. Then she abandons strength and will. She falls into the snow, and nimbly the bear retrieves and carries her. She yields insensibly and limply. She does not breathe, she does not stir. Along a forest path he rushes, and suddenly through tree and bushes a hut appears, all's wild around, and sad snow covers roof and ground. A window sheds illumination, and noise and shouting blast the ear. The bear declares, "My gaffer's here. It's warm inside his habitation." And quickly, opening the door, he lays the maiden on the floor. She's chased out of the snow, forced to leave the realm of her innocent youth by a wild bear, a personification of this all-consuming primal desire. She loses her shoes and earrings in the process, as if her femininity were stripped away. And props to Onegin for painting desire as a wild bear. It is a constant force of nature. It must be taken seriously, and there's no attempt to moralize it away. When Tatiana finally yields to the bear, she is carried away into a hut full of animalistic monsters. And the chief monster, the life of the party, is Eugene Onegin. All the animals look as he sits there, calm, composed. And then he murders Lenski in cold blood. Tatiana attempts to leave. He's trying to stop her. She panics, screams, wakes up. And crucially, she has that dream after falling for Onegin, but before he actually shoots Lenski. So her subconscious is trying to tell her that the boy is dangerous and destructive to both of them. And then she writes him a love letter anyway. You dumb bitch! It's never a good sign. You start identifying with characters in Russian novels. I need to get this out of the system. So much for the sincere Eastern soul. It makes the novel sparkle in a way you just won't find west of Prague. But not everything will feel familiar today. We focused on the way the tragedy is developed early in the plot. Let's stay on that and see how the duel is actually provoked when we're no longer dreaming. My irrepressible Buyanov took Olga and Tatiana then to meet Eugene, who promptly ran off with Olga to the ball again. He guides her, nonchalantly gliding, and in a whisper bends, confiding a madrigal, the merest slush, squeezes her hand. Her rosy flush takes on a brighter coloration, infusing her complacent face. My Lenski, watching this take place, flares up with jealous indignation, and by the long mazurka vexed, solicits the cotillion next. It isn't possible, she tells him. Eugene already has her word. Not possible? Ah, she repels him. She could... Good God, what has he heard? Scarce out of swaddling, always mild. Now a coquette, a giddy child. Already versed in artful play, she's learnt already to betray. The blow's too much for Lenski. Cursing the sexist tricks, he leaves the hall, calls for a horse, and, full of gall, gallops away, in thought rehearsing. A brace of pistols, bullets too, enough for fate to take its due. Ah, another ball. Boredom, ego, empty flirting, a battle to the death. Masculine codes of honor have always been a defensive posture. A monkey will suffer a grievance, it is unable to enact revenge, otherwise known as forgiving, it will get walked all over next time and worse. But what are we defending here? Tradition? Social standing? No, there's more. Lenski took Olga for an innocent maiden, but now a coquette, a giddy child? Onegin, that bastard, deserves a bullet between the eyes just for calling that picture into question. And this is another Russian theme. The duel was foreshadowed as Lenski being killed by Onegin in cold blood in Tatiana's dream, and yet look how petty and banal the whole thing actually turned out to be when it really happened. All the way from the ball, through the challenge, to the duel, they both act like children. Lenski turns into a corpse, Onegin turns into a wreck, but perhaps an adult wreck now. Tatiana's love letter to Onegin was written after he shot Lenski in her dream, but before he did so in real life. And it's an obvious choice for my favorite excerpt. Dear reader, have we not all been Tatiana? If you find yourself relating to her, or even rooting for her, just remember that you're still reading a Russian novel. Before me is Tatiana's letter. Religiously I treasure it. I read it with a secret shudder and cannot get my fill of it. Who could have taught such tender writing, such words so carelessly delighting? Who taught her that affecting rot, mad conversation of the heart, a captivating, harmful mixture? I cannot tell, but now you'll meet my version, feeble, incomplete, pale copy of a vivid picture, or as Der Freischütz might be played, by girlish pupils still afraid. I write to you. What more is needed? What else is there that I could say? It's in your power, I concede it, to punish my naivete. But if you've even slightly pitied the dismal lot that I endure, you won't abandon me, I'm sure. At first I did not want to vex you. Believe me, you'd have never known the shame I've suffered all alone, had I been hopeful to expect you here in our home, where we could speak. If only seldom, once a week, enough to listen to your greeting and say a word to you, and then, for days and nights to wander, when I could enjoy another meeting. They say, though, you're unsociable. You treat our world with condescension, and we're in no way fashionable, but welcome you without pretension. Why ever did you visit us? Lost in the village where I languish, I never would have known you thus. I never would have known this anguish. Time would have taught me to extinguish my naive longings, but who knows? I would have found a friend for life, would have become a faithful wife, a virtuous mother, if I chose another. No, I'd not have given my heart to anyone on earth. It has been foreordained in heaven. I was marked out for you from birth. My life has been a precondition for our encounter, which I crave. I know you're sent by God's provision, and you're my guardian till the grave. You came in dreams that soon abounded. Even unseen, I treasured you. Your wondrous glances pierced me through. Long in my soul, your voice resounded. No, this was not a dream for me. I knew you on your first appearing. All faint and numb, aflame and fearing, I uttered inwardly, it's he. Wasn't it you that I was hearing, when in the stillness I'd depart to help the poor folk? Weren't you nearing each time I prayed in hope of cheering the anguish of my troubled heart? And even at this very second, wasn't it you, dear vision, beckoned and slipped through night's transparency, inclining gently at my bedhead? You, who with joy and love persuaded and whispered words of hope to me. Who are you? Guardian angel? Mentor? Or, if not, a perfidious tempter? Resolve my doubts, my wavering. Perhaps my feelings are misguided, an artless soul's imagining, and something else has been decided. But let that be. My fate is sealed. I place it now in your safekeeping. I beg of you, become my shield. If you were here, you'd see me weeping. Imagine what it's like for me, alone, not understood, and ailing. I'm frightened that my reason's failing, that I shall die here silently. I wait for you. You can inspirit my hoping heart with just one glance, or interrupt this heavy trance with censure,
which alas, I merit. I close. I dread to read this through. I'm faint with shame and fear. However, I boldly put my trust in you, whose honor is my pledge forever. So, is Eugene Onegin worth reading? Do you like feeling alive? Can you take being confronted by a genuine and direct Russian soul? A story so intense, it has to hide behind the protective mask of irony and detached cynicism? Dear English-speaking world, our gift to you. Thank you for watching the 5th episode. If you wish to contrast it with the last fiction we covered, and don't mind the leap 2500 years back, check out the Iliad. More modern era pieces to come. And then turn me off, pick up a book, and live your life. And I have to get to work. Very cold, very, very cold, very cold, very cold, very, very cold, very cold, very cold, very, very cold, very cold, very, very cold, very cold, very cold.